I woke up feeling very groggy this morning, and that has kind of coloured my entire day. I have felt tired and unmotivated and a little bit under the weather. Part of that, I think, is because of my failed attempt to have a lie-in, but I do think there is more to it than that. Partly, I am just pretty tired of working on the barn right now. We are in the thick of converting an old stone barn into a home, and we are now 2.5 years into the process. There are days when I really enjoy it, and it is definitely challenging, but there are also times where it starts to wear on me a bit, and I think I am feeling that this week. But also the big thing right now is that I have just been working really hard. My days tend to start with writing first thing in the morning, and then I have a pretty full day of either working in our business or working outside on the barn. Then there is the usual activities of the evening school run, cooking a meal, putting my daughter to bed. After that, it is straight back into the writing. I am at the moment working on a couple of different books, so during the day I will be editing one, and at night I will be drafting another. And right now I'm also working really hard on this channel and the associated TikTok and Instagram accounts, which means that once I have finished drafting, I tend to be editing video, posting things online, and honestly quite often at the moment I am on the laptop until after 9 o'clock at night. And then there tends to be a quick wind down of just half an hour or so, then it's into bed and do it all again the next day. So I am starting to suspect that I am maybe a little bit burnt out. I have effectively been burning the candle at both ends. Now, I don't particularly want to give up on any of my activities. I love writing, I love creating videos, and of course, my business and working on the barn are very important to me. But I do think this week I would like to slow down a little bit. I find it very hard to switch off, and I often feel quite guilty when I am sitting around doing nothing. So I would really like to take this week to kind of get over my burnout before it can get any worse. I'm not exactly sure what shape that is going to take yet. This week, honestly, looks just as busy as any other, but my hope is really to perhaps spend a little bit less time online, more time either outside in the sunshine or reading a book, and we will see if I feel any more motivated and calm by the end of the week. One of the things we have been doing today is digging this trench to connect our water supply to the barn. Now, I'm showing you this in the context of this vlog for a very specific reason, because when I came out earlier to see how my dad was getting on with the digging, I found him not sitting on this digger, but instead hip deep in this hole with a spade. Now, bearing in mind that my dad is 82, nearly 83, you might be starting to see where some of my work ethic comes from and why I find it so hard to slow down. Now, I joke about my 82-year-old dad standing around in holes in the ground, but there is a point to this. I grew up on a hill farm. And as is often the case in farming families, no one ever really sat around doing nothing in my childhood. There was always something to do outside, or there was something to do around the house and the garden. I do not remember either of my parents ever really taking much time off. A lot of that was out of necessity, of course. But I think a part of me has really absorbed the fact that time off is not something we as a family take. There is always work to be done, and if there is not an immediate job, then you go out there and find something to do instead. Now, I have nothing against being busy per se, but I do think this mindset can become damaging in the long run. Like I said, I find it really difficult to switch off. I feel guilty when I am sitting reading a book. I cannot ever allow myself to relax until every immediate task has been done. The laundry has to be taken care of, the washing up has to be done, because otherwise I am somehow slacking off. This is a frame of mind that I do want to get out of, and it's not something I want to pass on to my daughter. Rest is every bit as important as work, and I really need to remember that now more than ever. when life is so busy. I could very easily spend every waking moment of my day working on something, and there are honestly days right now where I am doing that. That's not necessarily healthy, and that is what this vlog is all about. I need to find ways to slow down, and I also need to remind myself that taking a break is not a crime. I do not have to work every minute of the day, and honestly I would probably feel a lot better if I didn't. I'm not exactly feeling flush with energy this morning. I feel like there are things I should be really excited about right now, like for example the fact that the book I am working on is getting quite close to release. And I put a lot of time and energy into all of my books, but this one has been a particular commitment. And I'm really close to putting it out into the world. And we're also really close to finally getting a roof on the barn, which has been a long time coming. But I think I'm a little bit too caught up in the minutiae of day-to-day life right now to feel excited about these things. So it's going to be another slow start to the morning. I'm trying to take things a bit easier. I was thinking earlier about how I have a tendency to make my own life more difficult by, for example, committing to growing 3 different social media channels at once and also committing to being really consistent with them. I also made the decision this year to try and cut back on the amount of processed food we're eating as a family. We already cooked a lot of our food from scratch, but I have pared back the processed food even more, which means, for example, that one of the first things I had to do this morning was make some bread. That is just one more job in a long list of things I have to get done every morning, but that was my own choice and I don't regret it exactly, but I do know that I am putting more work on my plate when I didn't exactly have to. Many useful things I could have done this afternoon and I didn't do a single one of them. I went for a walk instead to enjoy the sunshine and I am not regretting that one bit. It was lovely. So I am going to continue the theme by still doing nothing useful and sitting down with a cup of tea and a book instead. I've just started reading this book, which is An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. I know absolutely nothing about it. I got it from the library on a whim. I think it is a fantasy dark academia and I think it's a standalone, but I might be proved wrong about both those things. I'm only a couple of chapters in. It seems quite dark so far, but the writing is very strong, so I am looking forward to the rest of the story. Good morning. It is Friday. The sun is hiding a bit this morning, but there is still a bit of warmth in the air and it definitely feels like Spring is just around the corner. We have now passed the spring equinox, and yesterday it was a really beautiful day. I know next week is going to be quite cold again, but I can just see the first signs of the hawthorn starting to green up and the grass growing, which is lovely. Now, I started this week in quite a low place, which was why I started filming this vlog. I was struggling to find any motivation, my mood was very low, I was not enjoying the weather, I was not enjoying my work, and I really did feel like I was circling the edges of burnout. I think this is a place as a creative, as a self-employed business owner, as a freelancer, that it is very easy to come to. Now, obviously, if you're working for yourself in any capacity, there are times when the hustle is really needed. Maybe you have a deadline, a project to turn in, maybe your work is seasonal like mine is. Our summers are very busy, and typically this time of year, February and March, are very quiet. So I know busier days are coming, and I know I will have to work hard over the summer, but even outside of those times, it is easy for me to get stuck in a cycle of feeling like I need to work harder. After a point, the hustle becomes all you know. It is really hard to escape it. You feel guilty for taking time off, you feel you are not working hard enough even when you don't have any deadlines. And work really becomes your entire personality. That is a state I slip into far too often. I find it quite hard to get out of that mindset. For reasons I talked about earlier, I think I have been conditioned to just treat hard work as a way of life. And sometimes that's fine, but sometimes it is really unhealthy. So this week was really about slowing down and coming back to life in a lot of ways. Just focusing on the little things and trying to rekindle my joy in the creative process. Now, I don't actually think overcoming burnout is as simple as spending a couple of hours sitting in the sun, drinking a cup of tea, going on a walk. That is lovely and it is all part of the puzzle, but on its own, it is not enough. What I really had to do this week was reframe my expectation of work and productivity. I had to convince myself that it didn't actually matter and the world was not going to end if I didn't get everything done. I did not actually have to post on social media every single day. I did not have to meet the self-imposed writing deadlines I'd set for myself. I didn't have to vlog if I didn't feel like it. I didn't have to take photos. I didn't have to go online. And of course, the minute I told myself I didn't have to do any of those things, I actually felt like doing them because I love writing. It is my number one passion and I love making videos and I love posting them online. So as soon as the creative process stopped feeling so much like work and an obligation, the joy started to trickle back in, and that really is what this week has been about. This, of course, is an ongoing process. Burnout is one of those things that just stalks creatives all the time, and you just have to be mindful that it is there waiting in the wings. I am definitely going to slow down a bit over the next few weeks. I do have lots of things I want to get done, but I think it is time to focus on one big project at once and stop trying to fit so much into my days. And I hope if burnout is affecting you, you are also able to find some time to rest, to push your deadlines back if you need to, or simply to put aside the activities that you've told yourself are necessary but may not be. I know rest can be a real privilege. I took an entire half day off yesterday to just read a book and go for a walk, and I know that is not available to everyone. I feel incredibly lucky both to live in these very restorative surroundings and to have that freedom with my time. But I hope wherever you are and whatever your situation is, you are able to find at least some little moments for yourself. And just remember that no matter how much work you do, how visible you are online and on social media, you are completely worthy. You do not have to work every hour and every minute of the day to be a valuable human being. And that is one of those things that I need to remind myself of a bit more often too. So thank you for being here. I am really looking forward to vlogging more of this spring and my creative life, and I will see you next time.